You have health insurance. You have a job. You saved what you could. You did everything right. And then one morning, your chest hurts. By Thursday, you're home from the hospital. Alive. Grateful. Relieved. By Friday, the first bill arrives. By the following month, your savings are gone. Your credit card is maxed, and you are doing math at 2 a.m. that you never thought you'd be doing. Not because you were reckless, not because you were stupid. Because 1 week in a hospital just cost you more than you make in a year. And here's the part nobody talks about. This is not rare. This is not a worst-case scenario. This is Tuesday in America. Right now, in 2025, the conversation around money has never been louder. Every platform is flooded with content about building wealth, investing in index funds, starting a side hustle, the FIRE movement, passive income, quiet luxury. Nobody is talking about the thing that is actually destroying middle-class families at a rate that should make everyone uncomfortable. Not bad spending habits, not avocado toast, not a lack of discipline. One emergency.
That's it. One event, 1 month, one diagnosis, one layoff, one accident, and a family that looked completely fine from the outside is suddenly underwater, and the water is rising. This is not a personal finance lesson. This is a structural autopsy. And by the end of this, you will never look at your own financial situation the same way again. Let's talk about who we're actually talking about. Not the person living paycheck to paycheck with nothing in savings. That story gets told. Not the ultra-wealthy who can absorb any shock without blinking. That story gets celebrated. We're talking about the family in the middle. The ones making $70,000 to $120,000 a year. The ones with the mortgage, the 2 cars, the health insurance, the 401k they contribute to because their employer matches up to 3% and they're not leaving free money on the table. These people feel stable. And in a very specific, narrow, calendar-perfect set of circumstances, they are. The moment anything goes wrong, that stability turns out to have been a feeling, not a fact. Here's why. Think of your financial life like a bridge. A well-engineered bridge doesn't just hold the expected load. It holds the expected load plus a significant margin for error. Engineers call it a safety factor. If a bridge is designed to carry 10,000 pounds, it's actually built to handle 40,000 because reality is unpredictable and the consequences of being wrong are catastrophic. Now think about the financial architecture of a typical middle-class household. The median take-home pay after taxes for a household earning $78,000 is roughly $55,000 a year. Fixed costs, mortgage, car payments, insurance premiums, utilities, consume about $43,000 of that.
Which leaves $12,000. $1,000 a month for everything else. That bridge has no safety factor. It is built to carry exactly the load it's already carrying, and nothing more. Any additional weight, and an emergency is not additional weight, it is a truck driving through at full speed, and the structure doesn't bend. It breaks. This is not a budgeting problem. You cannot budget your way to a safety factor that the math doesn't allow. Now, here's the mechanism that actually destroys families. And this part is important because it's not the emergency itself, it's what the emergency triggers. Economists call it a cascade. Regular people call it everything going wrong at once. You get sick. You miss work. If you're hourly, income stops immediately. If you're salaried, you burn through sick days in the first week. By week 3, you're taking unpaid leave or burning vacation days you were saving for something else. So now you have 2 problems at the same time. Money going out for the medical bills, money not coming in because you can't work. You reach for the savings account. The average middle-income household has about $8,000 in liquid savings.
Gone in 3 weeks. Now you reach for the credit card. And here is where the math becomes genuinely painful to watch. The average credit card interest rate right now is above 21%. You put $15,000 on the card to survive the emergency. You make minimum payments because that's all you can afford. You will be paying off that $15,000 for the next 16 years. You will pay $14,000 in interest alone. That one emergency just cost you $29,000 and a decade and a half of your financial future. Not because you panicked, not because you made poor decisions under pressure, because you had no other option, and the system you were operating inside had a 21% penalty for needing help. Here is the part that should make you genuinely angry. The families most likely to be destroyed by a single emergency are also the families that qualify for the least amount of help. Earn below a certain income threshold, and the safety net, imperfect, underfunded, bureaucratic as it is, tries to catch you. Medicaid, food assistance, rental support. Earn enough to be solidly middle class, and you are on your own. Entirely. And the products that exist to protect you? Long-term disability insurance, critical illness coverage, supplemental health policies. They're real. They work. They are also one more monthly expense on a budget that has exactly zero margin for one more monthly expense.
So families skip them, not out of ignorance, out of arithmetic. And this is the quiet absurdity at the center of the whole thing. The insurance products that would actually protect a middle-class family from collapse are unaffordable to the middle-class families that need them most. It's like being told the life jacket costs $200 when you have $47 in your pocket and the water is already rising. Now, zoom out for a moment, because this isn't just happening to one family in one town. Medical debt is the #1 cause of personal bankruptcy in the United States. 60% of all filings. And the majority of those people, the majority, had health insurance when the medical event happened. Read that again. They had insurance. They still went bankrupt. Meanwhile, home values have risen significantly over the past decade, which technically means middle-class net worth has increased. Sounds good. Except that wealth is locked inside the walls of their house. You cannot pay a hospital bill with home equity unless you take out a loan against it, which adds a new debt on top of the existing crisis. So the assets are illiquid. The debts are very liquid. And the gap between those two realities is where financial collapse lives. And here is the trend that makes all of this worse. Inflation from 2021 through 2024 didn't just raise prices. It permanently compressed the margin that middle-class families were already operating on. Groceries cost 25% more. Insurance premiums climbed. Interest rates on any new debt doubled. The $1,000 a month of breathing room that already wasn't enough became $800, then $600. And the emergencies kept coming on exactly the same schedule they always did. So where does that leave us? The financial advice economy will tell you to build a 6-month emergency fund, which is true, which is correct, which for a family with $983 of monthly margin requires saving that entire amount every single month for 5 years without a single unexpected expense derailing the plan.
Good luck. The honest thing to say is this. The collapse of middle-class families after a single emergency is not a story about people failing the system. It is a story about a system that was never engineered to carry the weight it promised to carry. A bridge built with no safety factor, sold to people as a structure they could trust, maintained with advice that sounds reasonable until you do the actual math. And right now, in 2025, with interest rates still elevated, healthcare costs still climbing, and wages still not keeping pace, the number of families living one emergency away from everything unraveling is not shrinking. It is growing. So here is the question worth sitting with tonight. If you, personally, had a $20,000 emergency tomorrow, not a maybe, not a someday, but tomorrow, what would your next 90 days actually look like? Not the answer you want to give, the honest one.
Because that answer tells you more about your real financial situation than any number in your bank account right now. The emergency doesn't create the problem. It just turns on the lights.